Incredible moment, millionaire father revealed as hero when his daughter, 8, exposed hidden pain. 12-year-old Emma Thompson stood in the middle of the school auditorium, her heart racing like a drum in a parade. Every eye was on her, and the whispers faded as if the air had been sucked out. In a world glittering with affluence, homes bigger than castles, and luxury cars parked in driveways, all Emma felt was the heavy weight of expectation. Her father, Jack Thompson, a successful businessman, seemed more a distant star than a dad. Emma often wondered what it felt like to be truly seen like the story she was about to tell. Today she started, glancing over at her classmate Maria, who had bravely shared her family's struggles of living in a trailer park and their looming eviction. Emma's brain sparked a revelation ignited by a simple sharing of truths. "I want to tell you a story, too." The words tumbled forth, revealing a hidden truth, one that could shake the gilded cage she lived in. "My dad faced his own battles. Before he was a millionaire, he worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. He built his empire from the ground up, and somewhere along the way, he forgot what really matters." Invisible strings tugged on hearts across the auditorium. Sniffles broke through. This wasn't just a story, it was a bridge. Emma sensed the yearning for connection. Empathy whispered in her ear, pushing her to ignite a conversation amongst her peers. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. The next day, Emma stood at the forefront, trembling but full of a fiery courage. "Let us share our stories," she urged, her voice growing stronger. "Let us create a culture of compassion instead of jealousy. Rich or poor, we all have our struggles." The room almost pulsed with anticipation. Jake, the previously quiet boy from the lunch table, stood up, revealing the hardships he faced at home. Each story added color to the fabric of their lives, weaving a rich tapestry of shared experiences. Meanwhile, Jack stumbled upon a news article that cast a stark light on his past. The images of Maria's family struck him like a thunderbolt. Nostalgia tangled with guilt, he had forsaken memories of hard work and late nights chasing dreams. He remembered that devastation, the fear of failing his loved ones. A familiar ache grew in his chest. As the school organized a community forum responding to Emma's movement, Jack's emotions twisted. Pride and anxiety coiled together like serpents. He was haunted by the presence of those who had carried the weight of life's burdens, while he boldly strutted in his tailored suit. When he stepped up to the podium that evening, he looked out at the expectant faces of his community, the children he had watched grow. The room was alive, crackling with a sense of purpose. He could see Emma shining, her spirit a beacon, urging him to advocate for compassion. As he prepared to speak, the air was thick with breathless anticipation. Would he finally share his truth, or cling to the comfort of silence? Emma's eyes locked with his, filled with hope, lighting a path toward redemption he hadn't realized he could take. Jack felt the weight of every gaze, an intense pressure that coiled around his chest. He could define that moment in a single heartbeat. Emma stood in the crowd, her wide eyes reflecting unyielding faith, as if she believed he could be someone worthy of her admiration. He closed his eyes to gather himself, inhaling the sentiments swirling around him. "Hello, everyone," he began, his voice shaky at first. "I'm Jack Thompson, Emma's dad." The room filled with gentle murmurs, a ripple of encouragement that drew him in. "I've spent years chasing success, wealth, and recognition," he continued, the words feeling foreign yet liberating as they left his lips. "But I overlooked something truly important along the way. In my pursuit, I lost sight of what it means to connect, to love and to share." Each word hung in the air like a banner, a stark contrast to the quiet ambition he had once harbored. He gathered momentum, memories flooding back. "Before the suits, before the cars, there were nights when I worried about keeping food on the table. I remember staring at bills and wondering if we'd make it through another month. Jack's throat tightened. He could feel the heat of raw emotion rise, but he pushed on. I wanted to shield Emma from that hurt, but in doing so, I built a wall. She faced my absence while I was chasing shadows. The audience listened with rapt attention, the vulnerability in his voice warming the chill of judgment. He spotted Maria sitting amongst her peers, her expression a mirror of understanding. Jack's heart raced. This was why he had come. To break down the barriers of wealth and belonging. Emma inspired me, he said, his voice steadying. She reminded me that it's not about what we have, but who we are. I want to be a father that she can look up to, one who shows kindness and compassion, who listens. I know now that strength lies not just in success, but in our shared struggles. He turned his gaze to Emma, a grateful smile breaking through the tension. For a moment, silence reigned. Then, one by one, the crowd erupted in applause. The sound filled the auditorium like sunlight pouring through a window. Jack felt a surge of relief wash over him, a bonds forged anew under the warmth of acceptance and community. Let us build each other up, he implored, emboldened by the connection he felt. We all have stories worth sharing. Together, we can create a community that nurtures understanding, and we can reach out to those in need, whatever their struggles may be. Emma's eyes shimmered with tears of pride, illuminated by hope. As the ceremony wrapped up, Jack felt lighter than he had in years. Just as he thought the night would settle into memory, a voice broke through the crowd. Mr. Thompson. A boy stepped forward, voice trembling but fierce. Can you help my family? We're about to lose our home. The question hung in the air, thick with uncertainty. Jack's heart lurched, a new spark of responsibility ignited within him. How far would he go to fulfill this newfound purpose? Would he risk his own financial security to help others? Behind him, Emma looked up with wide eyes, anticipation dancing between them. It was the beginning of a journey neither of them had anticipated, but the path before them shimmered with possibility. Where would it lead them next? Jack's heart raced as he looked at the boy, a flicker of fear echoing in the pit of his stomach. The immediate question that danced in his mind: who was this child? What did he know about Jack's life? What could he possibly mean by losing their home? Can you tell me more? Jack spoke gently, drawing nearer to the boy, who shifted his weight uneasily. My family, we just got behind on rent. My dad lost his job, and my mom is sick. We don't have anywhere to go. The boy's voice was barely above a whisper, yet it cut through the auditorium like a knife. Jack felt a lump form in his throat. I'm really sorry to hear that, Jack replied, taking a deep breath. Emma squeezed his hand, her eyes wide with concern. She understood the weight of the boy's words too. Listen, how old are you? Jack asked, attempting to anchor himself in the conversation. 10, the boy said, his chin quivering. My name's Kyle. Okay, Kyle. I promise you, we'll figure something out. I might have some ideas. Jack's voice steadied as determination flooded his veins. He had stumbled into the fight against his own demons, and now, standing here, he had a chance to help this boy's family too. The crowd murmured, a mix of support and disbelief. It felt like the walls of the auditorium were closing in, thrumming with the energy of everyone witnessing this moment. A few other parents stepped forward, expressing their concern, some sharing similar stories of hardship. Maybe we can start a fundraiser. A woman suggested from the left side of the room. Or connect with local resources. Right. Let us reach out to the community, Jack said, feeling adrenaline pulse through him. We now have this platform, let us use it. His mind darted with possibilities. He imagined organizing drives, finding shelters, building a network of support. It was a monumental shift in focus. Emma looked at her father with admiration, and Jack felt a profound sense of resolve wash over him. This was why he had to face the crowd. He had to turn his past mistakes into a force for good. Can we all come together to help Kyle and his family? Jack asked, raising his voice. He watched as heads nodded throughout the room. A wave of collective hope surged like an electric current. Yes. Someone shouted from the back, the applause returned, filling the air again, this time with a different energy. Jack saw smiles spread across faces that had once been blank, brimming with disbelief. There were glimmers of something greater, a movement forming amongst them. The realization washed over him, this wasn't just about him or Emma anymore. This was about transforming lives. As they talked logistics, Jack's mind began racing again. Trust and connection filled his spirit, and something began to solidify inside him. But doubt still lingered, nagging at the edges. Would he really be able to help? What if he failed? His breathing quickened as he pieced together the reality of his potential promise to not only support Kyle's family but create something much bigger. Just when he felt he was beginning to understand his role in this mission, an unexpected thought struck him like a bolt of lightning. What if they needed more than just money? What if they needed hope, guidance, support beyond financial help? Jack turned to Emma, who was now filled with the same determination he felt growing inside him. You ready for whatever this looks like? He asked, a grin breaking through. Emma nodded. Together? Always. Together. As the meeting wrapped up and plans began to scatter through the room, Jack caught sight of Kyle once more. The boy smiled faintly, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. This was the moment that would change everything, but before they could delve deeper into action, Jack noticed the whispers growing louder at the edges of the room. Someone had hatched a new idea, maybe we could set up a community shelter. But would it really work? Jack's heart raced anew, the challenge before him unfurling like an open road. How far would he really go? Where could this take them? The possibilities were endless, and the stakes were higher than he could have imagined. He took a deep breath. The journey ahead was going to be harder than he ever thought, yet strangely, he felt ready. What awaited him, Emma, and their newfound purpose? As the murmurs grew louder, Jack felt a wave of nervous energy crash over him. The idea of a community shelter echoed through his mind, stirring both excitement and apprehension. He glanced around the auditorium, meeting the encouraging gazes of parents and neighbors who had been quiet, their expressions shifting from disbelief to hope. Could we actually do this? He thought, hoping he wasn't alone in this dream. He could visualize the details, a place where families like Kyle's could find safety, warmth, and, most importantly, each other. Jack clenched his fists, feeling the weight of the world combine with the thrill of possibility. Emma nudged him gently, a spark in her eyes. Dad, what if we made this really happen? Just like in those stories you used to read to me. Yeah, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. But can we even find a space? Look at everyone here, Emma urged, her youthful optimism grounding him. If we all work together, we can do anything. Jack smiled. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and in that moment, he let go of his fear. Okay. Let us find a place. We can start small, a safe house for families, eventually expanding to whatever it takes. Count me in. Shouted a man from the back, whose rough hands indicated a life of hard work. I can help fix up a building if we find one. Nods and murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd like a wave. Jack wished he could bottle this energy and save it for days when doubt would creep back in. He felt Emma's fingers squeeze his again, reminding him of what was important, the raw emotion that needed to be the backbone of this endeavor. The hours flew by in a whirlwind, as ideas bounced back and forth. They discussed fundraising events, potential volunteers, and how to get resources flowing. Jack took a step back and observed the scene. People whose paths may have never crossed before were now united by a common cause. They had transformed in front of his eyes, their shared struggles igniting a fire that lit the room. Just as they were solidifying plans for a bake sale, the auditorium doors swung open, and unexpected shouts of joy flooded the space. A couple of teenagers rushed in with enthusiasm, announcing they had set up an online campaign. We already raised over $1,000. They beamed, breathless with excitement. The crowd erupted in cheers. Jack felt his heart swell. This momentum was real. "Let us keep up the spirit, everyone," Jack encouraged. "We aren't just fundraising, we're building a community. A place where everyone feels they belong." As conversations erupted again, Jack pulled Emma aside, feeling a rush of pride. "You see this, Emma? It's more than we imagined." She grinned widely, her excitement infectious. "I can't wait to be part of it." But then, at that very moment, Jack's heart sank. A chill ran down his spine as he thought of the logistical nightmare ahead. What if they found a building but didn't have enough resources to keep it running? What if they couldn't gather enough support from the community? The involuntary wave of doubt crashed through him again. I hope we're really ready for this," he murmured to Emma, a hint of uncertainty creeping back into his voice. Before she could respond, Kyle approached them, the boy's small frame somehow holding a world of worry. "What about my family?" he asked, voice trembling. "Will they be safe in the shelter?" Jack felt another pang of responsibility. "We'll make sure they are, Kyle. I promise. We'll make it happen." But as he said the words, he realized the challenges ahead were only beginning. The weight of the promise echoed in his ears. They would have to tackle not just the logistics but also the heartache, the stories that came with each family that would walk through those doors. Jack swallowed hard, a deep breath filling his lungs. How would they maintain this vision in the face of personal struggles for so many? It felt like the toughest question yet. Together? Emma's voice broke through his thoughts. "Always," he whispered back, yet uncertainty clouded his mind. What if their unity truly wasn't enough? As the excitement swelled around them, Jack knew they had a long road ahead. Yet just at the edge of the room, a stranger watched them silently, his expression unreadable. He felt a gaze that pierced right through him, stirring a hint of unease deep inside. Who was this stranger, and what was he hiding? Jack's heart raced again, sensing there were more layers to this story yet to be revealed. Jack's instincts flared as he scanned the room once more. The stranger stood in stark contrast to the warmth radiating from the gathered families. He was tall, with dark hair slicked back and a tailored jacket that seemed both out of place and imposing. Jack's heart raced as he wondered about this man's purpose. Emma tugged at his sleeve, her excitement undeterred. "Dad, can we go talk to him?" "I don't know, Emma," Jack hesitated, the unease tightening in his stomach. "Something about him feels off." But Emma wasn't having it. "What if he can help us? Maybe he's a potential supporter." She darted toward the stranger, her confidence cutting through his hesitation. Jack sighed, following closely behind. "Excuse me." Emma called out, her voice ringing with youthful determination. The man turned, his sharp gaze locking onto hers, and for a fleeting second, Jack felt something pass between them, curiosity mixed with apprehension. "Hi. I'm Emma," she said, hardly fazed by the intense look in his eyes. "We're trying to start a community shelter and help families like Kyle's. Do you want to help?" Jack nearly choked. Was that boldness or recklessness? He stepped forward. "Emma. Maybe we should give him some space." But the stranger held his hands up, a hint of a smile creeping onto his lips. "I'm intrigued, Emma. You're very passionate. What do you need?" Jack relaxed slightly but remained on high alert. "We're looking for space and resources. Anything we can get for families in need." The stranger nodded slowly, tapping his fingers against his chin. "Resource gathering isn't the hardest part. It's keeping people engaged and invested. What's your plan for sustainability?" Jack swallowed, suddenly aware that they hadn't discussed that yet. He started, but Emma stepped in. "We'll have community events. Fundraisers, volunteer programs, maybe partnerships with local businesses." The man raised an eyebrow, impressed. "And who will run all of this?" Who will manage the day-to-day operations? Jack felt the weight of Emma's aspirations clashing with the reality of their venture. He opened his mouth to speak, but the stranger continued. You seem like a good father, Jack. But you'll need more than just enthusiasm to pull this off. You need a team, people who have experience. Maybe you could help us, Emma said, her innocence shining through. Jack felt a flicker of hope but couldn't shake off the nagging worry. What was this man's angle? Why was he so interested in their plan? The stranger paused, looking between them. I might know a few people who can assist, he admitted. But you'll need to be all in. Are you prepared for the challenges? Emma nodded fiercely, their connection strengthening. Jack felt the resolve returning. It wasn't just about him anymore, this was about the families depending on their idea. Let us help, the stranger said softly. But I need a commitment from you both. If I'm going to risk my time and resources, you need to be all in. Absolutely, Jack affirmed, determination flooding his chest. As the stranger smiled, Jack saw something shift in his expression. Was it pride, or perhaps a glimmer of compassion? That look unsettled Jack more than he expected. Then let us make something happen, the man said, extending his hand. Just then, as if the universe was conspiring to remind Jack of the uncertainties ahead, a loud crash echoed at the back of the auditorium. Everyone turned, shock spreading like wildfire. Emma's eyes went wide. What was that? Jack's heart skipped a beat. What if the chaos that followed was the exact thing they were trying to prevent? Stay close, Jack instructed, instinctively moving toward Emma. As he pushed through the crowd, he realized this wasn't just about finding a space anymore. The wave of challenges was crashing over them fast, and as the chaos swirled around them, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something much bigger, something he could never have imagined. Who is behind this? He murmured, stealing a glance at the stranger, who maintained his calm demeanor. But the air was thick with tension. And as the crowd began to whisper, Jack understood they were not just fighting for a shelter anymore, they were fighting for their lives, their hopes, and perhaps even their sanity. What had he truly signed up for? And was the stranger truly there to help or to push them down a darker path? The sound of the crash reverberated through the auditorium, sending shockwaves of panic rippling across the families gathered there. Jack's heart raced as he pushed through the throng of startled faces, his eyes snapping from Emma to the stranger, who remained eerily calm amid the chaos. What was that? He demanded, his impatience growing. The stranger tilted his head slightly, his expression inscrutable. Let us find out, he said, his voice steady. He gestured for Jack and Emma to follow him. Jack hesitated for a split second, a protective instinct warring with his curiosity. Did he really want to follow this man into whatever uncertainty lay ahead? But as he glanced down at Emma, her small hand gripping his tightly, he nodded. Together, they made their way through the crowd, moving towards the noise. Around them, families murmured and pointed, children clung to their parents, and the air buzzed with mounting anxiety. Jack felt a pang of fear for everyone, their strangers connected by shared hopes, worries, and dreams. As they reached the back of the room, the cause of the crash became all too clear. A large wooden display board had toppled over, scattering pamphlets and flyers across the floor. A few older kids were laughing, pointing at the commotion, while adults rushed to assist the two who were trying to lift the board back into place. It's just a sign, Emma said, her voice a mixture of relief and disappointment. But it made everything feel so serious. Right, not the end of the world, Jack reassured her, though his heart still raced with the adrenaline of uncertainty. Still, that was quite a distraction, the stranger commented, kneeling to help gather the scattered papers. The unexpected can often remind us of our priorities. Jack couldn't shake the feeling that the stranger was alluding to more than just the fallen display. What do you mean? Jack asked, kneeling next to him. There are always obstacles, Jack. It's how we handle them that defines us. His eyes flicked to Emma before returning to Jack. And for someone like you, it can mean the difference between a dream that uplifts your community and one that crumbles under the weight of reality. Feeling challenged, Jack straightened. "We're not going to let this crumple, trust me. We're committed." "Good," the man replied, his voice smooth as silk. "But it's not just about commitment. It's about awareness. Not just of your goals but of your surroundings. Friends can become enemies, allies can become competitors." "What are you talking about?" Jack felt the tension between his shoulders creeping back in. Just then, a commotion from the front of the room drew their attention. A man was yelling, his face flushed as he argued with the event organizer. "You can't ignore us. We need action now." Jack's gut twisted. It was clear this was a response to the increasing number of families needing help. Someone's frustration was boiling over. He scanned the faces of those around him, so many eyes lit with desperation, families just like his own. The weight of their shared experiences hung heavy in the air. What if things spiral out of control? Emma whispered, worry etched deeply on her face. Jack fought to keep his voice steady. "We can't let that happen. We'll be the calm in the storm." "Will you?" The stranger's sudden question sent chills down Jack's spine. "Or will you be swept away by everyone else's noise?" Before Jack could respond, a loud shout broke from the man at the front. "Our voices deserve to be heard. We have to do something before it's too late." Jack's heart sank. It was one thing to dream of creating a shelter and another to confront the reality of what that entailed. The chaos outside this event could swallow them whole. "Let us regroup," the stranger suggested quietly, his eyes scanning the room. "You need a plan." Jack's mind raced. How could they turn this chaos into strength? What would it take to move forward, not just for themselves but for all those families who felt their pain? And the looming question lingered, was their quest worth the price of facing such turmoil? Dread and determination mingled within him as he looked at Emma, her little shoulders squared with defiance. "We have to be brave," Jack said, more to himself than anyone else. As the shouting continued, Jack knew they were standing at a precipice. What would happen next could change everything, and in that moment, he felt a new urgency to act to ensure their mission wouldn't just be lost to the chaos. But what if they lost more than they bargained for along the way? As the shouting echoed loudly around them, Jack's focus sharpened. Families were crying out for help, their needs boiling over in frustration and fear. He felt the heat of their desperation, amplifying his own resolve. The stranger stood beside him, a watchful presence, while Emma's tiny hand squeezed Jack's tighter, anchoring him amidst the rising uncertainty. "Emma, stay close," Jack said, his voice firm but calm. "Let us figure this out. We owe it to everyone here." Emma nodded, though her eyes darted toward the frenzy in the front. It was an overwhelming sight, far too many people trying to find answers all at once. Jack glanced at the stranger, searching for guidance. The man simply watched, his expression unreadable, as the crowd continued to swell with emotion. "Jack!" The voice of the event organizer, caught in the crossfire, broke through the clamor. "I need someone to help me bring order back. Can you manage that?" Jack's heart raced at the unexpected request. This was the moment to step up, to prove that their dream could become a reality. He took a deep breath. "Yes, I'll help." "Good," said the organizer, relief flooding over his features. "Get their attention, remind them why they're here." Jack turned back to the crowd, feeling the weight of their expectations draping over him. "I know this is frustrating," he began, his voice rising above the chaos. "But we can channel this energy into something positive. We are all here for a reason. We want a better future for our families." Some faces softened as they turned to him, curiosity replacing anger. Jack saw a flicker of hope and seized it. "Let us group together. Share your ideas. We won't let this moment slip away. We'll make it count." There was noise, a stir of agreement. The energy shifted, like a storm showing signs of sunlight. Jack felt Emma's grip loosen, a spark of confidence shining through her worry. "You can do this," the stranger murmured, his eyes steady on Jack. There was something almost like approval in his gaze, a recognition of the potential igniting within everyone present. Encouraged, Jack kept going. "We'll listen to each other. This isn't just about one person or one idea. It's about all of us, our dreams, our needs." He surveyed the audience, connecting with those he had seen earlier, faces now filled with gratitude and understanding. "If we work together, we can create something incredible, a place for our families to find support." Applause started slowly, a ripple of sound building into a wave. The atmosphere bristled with excitement as the audience began to engage with each other, exchanging ideas, and brainstorming. Jack felt his heart swell with hope. They were turning the chaos into focus, transforming noise into action. Emma's face beamed with pride as she watched her father inspire the crowd. But just as Jack began to feel like maybe, just maybe, they could make this work, the commotion shifted again. A familiar face appeared from the crowd, one he recognized from a previous encounter: Thomas, a known antagonist of their shelter mission. He wasn't a figure of hope, he was trouble. "Really, Jack? You think you can rally everyone behind a failing dream?" Thomas shouted, cutting through the clapping. "You'll all fall flat on your faces." Jack's stomach dropped. The mood shifted, doubt creeping back in like a dark fog. Emma's hand tightened around his again, sensing the anxiety in the air. "Don't listen to him," Jack called out, forcing himself to stand tall. "We've got something worth fighting for here. Together, we can overcome any obstacle." But as the murmurs shifted again, Jack wondered, could they really push through the pessimism surrounding them? Would Thomas's words take root and poison their resolve? The stakes had never felt higher. With this looming danger, he knew they had to push through now more than ever. Could a single man's conviction be enough to stand against the tides of doubt closing in? Jack's heart raced as he faced the crowd. Thomas's words hung in the air like a storm cloud, threatening to overshadow the momentum they had built. The applause that recently swelled now faded into a murmur of uncertainty. Jack took a breath, steadying himself against the weight of doubt. "Listen," he called, forcing his voice to slice through the noise. "Everyone, we've all felt the weight of disappointment and struggle, but this is our moment. The past doesn't dictate our future unless we let it." He could see their faces, a mix of skepticism and curiosity. Emma's grip was tight again, he could feel her fear radiating through her small fingers. But he also saw signs of determination. He needed to channel that energy. "We want to build something here, a hope for our families. Each of you has a voice that matters. Don't let fear and negativity drown it out. We're all in this together." Some people in the crowd nodded, murmuring in agreement. Jack spotted a few familiar faces, their expressions filled with determination, and drew strength from them. In that instant, he realized that he wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting for Emma, for the families who felt abandoned, for everyone who had suffered. Then, amidst this brief jubilance, Thomas stepped forward again, a smirk painted on his face, ready to drag them back into hopelessness. Jack took a step towards him, eyes blazing. "You want to talk about failure, Thomas? Look around. Every single person here has faced challenges. Some of us have struggled more than you know. But standing together, we create strength." The crowd began to stir. He could sense it, something shifting. This wasn't just about him anymore, it was about them. "Let us show Thomas the truth," Jack shouted, his voice echoing with conviction. "When we stand united, we are stronger than any doubt. We'll expose the hidden pain, share our stories, and together, we can rise." As he spoke, he pointed to individuals throughout the crowd. "You. What do you want to see in your community? What change do you want to see in your lives?" A woman with tired eyes stepped forward, her voice shaky but loud enough to be heard. I want to see support for single mothers like me. We need resources. The audience reacted, cheers and nods of agreement flooding back to her. Jack's heart surged with pride and hope. One voice became two, and then three. You, sir. Jack turned to another man in the crowd. What's your vision? I want to see opportunities for our kids. He shouted. After-school programs, activities so they don't just sit idle. The energy shifted again, growing stronger with each voice that rose. Jack could see possibilities budding, and with each outspoken desire, the grip of negativity loosened. Even Emma's face had started to brighten as hope flickered back into her eyes, but just then, a new voice emerged from the crowd. It was a shaky, timid sound, and it was coming from a young boy. What if no one listens to us? What if we fail? The boy's worry spread like wildfire, fanning the flames of doubt. Jack's heart sank again, but he knew this was a pivotal moment. He had to address it. Listen to me. Jack called, focusing on the boy now. Failing isn't a destination, it's part of the journey. And every journey worth taking has bumps along the way. But if we don't try, we will never know what we could accomplish together. And trust me, even if we stumble now, we will pick ourselves back up together. A subtle ripple of agreement ran through the crowd. They were starting to understand their voices mattered. Jack felt an energy he hadn't felt before, pushing through the doubts. The eyes of the people were filled with something he recognized, possibility. Then, amidst that shifting atmosphere, the stranger beside him leaned closer. They need a clear vision, Jack. Show them a way. Jack nodded, contemplating their next steps. He took a deep breath, knowing the real challenge lay ahead. Would they continue to rally, and how could he inspire them to take action? Let's create a committee. He shouted, eyes bright with determination. We'll work on your ideas, build a plan together, and make this dream a reality. Who's with me? The answer came like a tidal wave, bright and resounding. We are. But as the crowd erupted into a chorus of agreement, Jack noticed Thomas slipping away, his presence now like a distant shadow. What could he be planning? What would Thomas do next? The excitement surged like electricity, but Jack couldn't shake the feeling of unease creeping into the edges of his mind. He scanned the crowd, seeking comfort in the sea of faces now buzzing with hope. Yet, the weight of Thomas's departure hung in the air, casting a shadow over the newfound energy. Okay, how about we start brainstorming? Jack encouraged, eager to channel the growing momentum. What are the first steps we can take together? A few eager hands shot up, and amidst the chatter, a man with a thick beard stood up, his voice clear. We need awareness. We need to organize a community meeting. Get families involved and share our ideas. Build a support system. Yes. A woman next to him exclaimed, her eyes shining. We should ask local businesses for help, maybe sponsorships for our initiatives. More voices joined in, ideas flowing like a river. Jack felt his heart lift with each suggestion, each shout of determination. But something nagged at him. He glanced over his shoulder, half expecting to see Thomas lurking nearby, plotting his next move. I love where this is going. Jack shouted over the stir. Every idea brings us closer to a plan. Let us not just talk, let us take action. But just as the crowd began to find its rhythm, a sharp voice cut through the conversation, unmistakably Thomas's. You really think you can make a difference? You're just a bunch of dreamers. The crowd stilled, tension snapping back like a rubber band. Jack felt an icy grip around his heart. Did Thomas come back to sabotage their progress? He held his breath, searching for the right words. Believe in yourselves. This isn't about me or Thomas, he said, stepping forward defiantly. This is about all of you. The strength in this crowd is the courage we need to move forward. Together, we've already started the path towards change. A rumble of agreement began to build, but Jack's gaze remained fixed on Thomas, who stood smirking at the edge of the group. He could see the doubt and fear reflected in the faces of those around him, even Emma, who looked concerned. "What do you want?" Jack called out, his voice firm, refusing to let Thomas's negativity seep in. "Why are you here?" "Just wanted to see the show," Thomas replied, crossing his arms like a spoiled child. "But I might reconsider if you actually pull something together." Jack felt a surge of frustration but also found clarity in the challenge. He recognized this moment was not just about fighting Thomas, it was about proving their potential. "We will prove you wrong, Thomas. You want to watch a show? Then come see the change we can create." His words ignited a spark in the crowd. People began nodding again, fire returning to their eyes. Jack looked around, his heart swelling with renewed hope. They were starting to believe, the atmosphere shifted, filling with resolve. "Let us plan that meeting," someone shouted. "Let us get the word out." "Involve schools," another chimed in. "They know the kids." Jack felt alive, his passion gripping the crowd. He swept his arm over them, a united front against doubt. "Let us do this together. Share stories, confront the challenges, and invite everyone we know, even the skeptics. This is our opportunity." Yet, in the back of his mind, he still couldn't shake the feeling of unease. Was Thomas really gone for good? The crowd began to formulate their plans, excitement building, but Jack's heart beat heavy with anticipation. Just then, amidst the chatter, the young boy who had spoken earlier raised his hand again, his small voice trembling. "What happens if we try and it doesn't work? How can we keep going?" Jack's heart ached as he met the boy's worried gaze. The honesty in his question was a gut punch. Would they be able to withstand failure? Would he be able to pick everyone up if they fell short? Taking a deep breath, Jack replied, "We will support each other. Even if we stumble, we will lift each other up. That's what families do. We're all here, we're all in this together." As renewed energy flowed through the crowd, Jack's resolve solidified. They might face setbacks, but they would face them together. They would learn, grow, and rise again, but even as he felt the surge of ambition, a part of him sensed Thomas was just waiting for the right moment to strike. What plans did he have up his sleeve? Jack's pulse quickened, knowing that the true test was only beginning. Would they be strong enough to withstand the storm that was coming? The community forum buzzed with excitement, but beneath the surface, a current of tension lurked. Jack's heart raced as he stood at the front, looking out at the families, friends, and neighbors who had gathered to share in their vision. Emma was by his side, her eyes sparkling with hope and determination. "Today is about more than just dreams," Jack began, his voice steady as he faced the crowd. "It's about our families, our futures, and the strength we have when we come together." The murmurs rippled through the audience. Each face was a reminder of the struggles they bore, but there was also a glimmer of belief. "Let us show everyone what we can accomplish." Emma's spirited voice rang out, her energy infectious. Jack nodded toward her, proud of her courage. She had been the spark that ignited this momentum, and now she was a beacon guiding others toward change. Encouragement surged as hands shot up, voices eager to contribute. Ideas flowed like a rushing river, each suggestion enveloped in unity and purpose. "We can set up food drives," one woman exclaimed. "Organize tutoring sessions for children," another suggested. Just as Jack began to feel hope blossom, Thomas's familiar sneer broke through the excitement, adding an unwanted chill to the air. "You're all just wasting your time. Words don't build shelters." Jack clenched his jaw. "Maybe not," he replied, his voice rising over the doubts. "But words can inspire action. Together, we'll make those dreams reality." A renewed wave of applause erupted, fueling his conviction that he felt Emma's grip tightening. "What now, Dad?" she whispered, worry lacing her voice. "Just breathe, sweetheart. We got this," he assured her, but in the pit of his stomach, uncertainty coiled tightly. He had seen Thomas undermine hope before. The man thrived on chaos. And beneath bravado, Jack knew they still faced formidable challenges even if they managed to rally the community's support. Rallying a defiant spirit, Jack turned back to the audience. "We'll need to plan our next steps. Let us divide into teams so we can start implementing ideas right away." The response was electric. A chorus of hands reached for the sky. As groups formed, Jack joined Emma, feeling her unease. "I hope he's done," she murmured, glancing back at Thomas, who lingered at the edges of the room, his presence a dark cloud threatening their newfound momentum. Jack cleared his throat, pushing that worry aside. "Let us focus on all this promise." Just then, a shout rang out from the doorway. A newcomer burst in, red-faced and panting. "I have news. My mom found a vacant property. We might have a site for our shelter." Gasps echoed, and Jack felt his pulse quicken. "That's incredible!" he exclaimed. The energy shifted towards elation. They could see the chance transforming into reality. The boy continued, "It needs a lot of work, but it could be perfect. Let us check it out." Emma exclaimed, eyes sparkling. "We can start renovations together." "Yes. We can turn this dream into something tangible." Jack's heart raced with excitement. Their future was folding right in front of them. But as the crowd buzzed with newfound enthusiasm, he spotted Thomas slinking toward the door, his expression unreadable. "Everyone. We have to stay focused." Jack called again, feeling the weight of the crowd's hopes resting squarely on his shoulders. Just then, someone shouted. "What if Thomas is right? What if we fail? How are we going to keep this going?" "Failure is part of every journey," Jack responded, his heart heavy with the absolute truth. "It's what we do after that counts. We lift each other up. That's our promise." But even as Jack spoke, doubt clawed at his mind. How many times had he failed before? Would this time be different? As they began to organize committees and tasks to explore the new property, Jack stole another glance at Thomas. He was still lurking, the shadow of doubt he was trying to shake. But what if? What if Thomas had another plan to undermine them? "Emma, we need to be ready," he said softly. "For anything." "Like what?" she asked, her innocence shining through. Jack sighed. "We've got to protect our dream. But we can't lose our determination." With each step, as the crowd began to disperse into groups, Jack felt hope but also fear. He could see their vision taking form even among the noise of uncertainty and fear. But could they truly rise above it all? He sensed that justice awaited somewhere down the line, yet, the path was steep. In that moment, the reality was clear. They were not merely crafting a shelter but igniting a movement, one grounded in heart, unity, and resilience. And for that, he felt brave. As he looked to the faces of Emma and their community, Jack realized, they had everything they needed to create transformation if they just held on. Together, he whispered, determination threading through his heart. They needed to unite against the tide, to forge forward into the storm. "Are you ready?" he asked Emma with a smile, the warmth of her spirit brightening his resolve. "Always," she replied, her faith unwavering. And with that, Jack took a deep breath, steeling himself for the very real battles ahead. This was only their first step into what they hoped to become, and if there was one thing Jack could grasp with certainty, it was that love, kindness, and togetherness would guide them through. As they moved ahead, hand in hand, Jack knew something profound was within reach, a future crafted by the stories of many, each thread stronger together than apart, and he was ready to embrace it all. Now, don't wait not even one more second. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the positivity flowing. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this inspiring journey. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Only true fans understand the importance of these actions. Let us make this community grow.